Right, so for this assessment, we're going to look at the lats, okay? So what we're looking at here is a very simple arm elevation test. Now I'm going to grab hold of Andy's wrists, and he needs to stay relaxed, because the more muscle activation there is, the more bind that we're going to find and get a misreading of what's tight and what's not. So whenever you're doing these, we try to ideally have the client be as relaxed as humanly possible. So I'm just going to grab hold of his wrists. What we're going to do is just gently bring them overhead and wait until we feel any tension coming through, and so far there isn't. Now, how we start to tell if the lats are the problem is if the arm starts to duct out and starts to bend also through the elbow. So if it comes overhead and we start to get a bend through the elbow and out this way, then you start to see that the lat becomes the problem here. So again, I'll just relax his arms. Now if we just bring that overhead and we wait and see if we find where that point is. Okay, so now over here, his right arm started to move out. Very, very subtly started to move out. The left arm, not as bad in that point. Okay, so there'll be a little bit of tightness in that right hand side, and that's what we're going to try and address here in the next shot. Okay, so now we're going to work on the lat. What we're going to do from here, I'm going to bring Andy's arm up, and then I'm going to come through from the front and reach my hand around the back, and I'm going to hold on to his tricep here, and then I'm going to put my hand here right up on the hip bone. So my thumb and index finger sits nicely on the hip bone here, so rather than actually down on the side of the hip, we're going to be right up on that hip bone. All I'm going to do is I'm going to pull forward towards me on that tricep while pushing down on the hip. We're just going to be gentle again from here. So I'm just going to keep a gentle pressure on the tricep here and a gentle pressure on the hip. That's not painful at all.
No, it's all good.
So it's always a good idea to check in and make sure that things aren't painful. While we might be trying to do good for the muscles, we've got to make sure that they're not in such a tightened state that they can't move and it's causing a lot of strain and stress. Now, I'm going to get you, Andy, while I'm pulling on this tricep here of yours, to try and bring your elbow down to your hip. That's it. And you'll start to see his lat activate. Okay, so I'm still pushing on the hip and I'm still bringing down on the tricep here. Being a bigger muscle now, and we're not in such a sensitive area, now we can start to use a bit more effort between the two of us. And you'll probably see that there's a little bit of resistive shaking here through the muscles between myself and Andy. Okay, so now just relax. And then we got a nice drop out of that one. So now from here we can reposition like that. I'm still pushing on that hip and I'm still bringing down on that tricep. Everything's still good there?
Yep.
Okay. So you can see we gained about 4 or 5 degrees range of motion out of that. So it's very, very powerful techniques. You don't need to use a lot of time or a lot of energy to get that, but you must make sure always that the muscles have been loosened first, so soft tissue work first before doing any form of activation. So now again, if you can activate for me, bringing that elbow down to your hip. I'll be resisting on that tricep while also pushing down on that hip. And relax, and we've got a nice good drop again. Okay, so you can see out of just a couple of those we've had quite a good lengthening through that lat muscle. So if we went back and redid the test, we should notice now significant improvement in that arm elevation test.